Hello and welcome to another episode of Hot Ones, the podcast where we share spicy sports takes. Wait a minute, I'm just joking. This is jonesing for sports. That's what you're here for, but we are going to share some hot takes in this pod, and we're also going to get into some Michigan football content, some Tigers content. If that's what you're here for, stick around because we're going to get into that right now.
Coda, I almost chuckled during your intro. Now, that would have been a slippery slope because a single laugh will put me into a coughing fit.
Me as well.
So, yeah, just be careful with the humor today.
This is a recipe for disaster. This is just if it starts going downhill, I think you just have to embrace it.
It's like a constant tickle right now. I want to cough so bad.
Same.
I guess this is the point where I should tell everybody, if you're deciding between listening or watching this pod, you should probably watch it because there's going to be periods of silence where these two are just muted, but you can just watch them just hacking their lungs out.
I've got my wife off camera, and if I got to mute myself, she studied sign language, so maybe I'll bring her in and just sign to you guys. Just Sharon Moore. Bad.
Can we just cut to that now? That sounds great for a podcast format.
I've got a pre-shower thought for you.
Can
before we
Brandon
get to the real one.
interpret just based on like what the signs look like?
Oh,
I don't have that
There's
gift.
an idea. Have Hannah sign and Brandon interpret for our listeners.
Real bad segment for our audio listeners. All right, the pre-shower thought, since Brian and I are going through mucus hell right now, is what's worse, when your sinuses are completely clogged in the pressure or when it starts draining?
The clog.
I think it's still the clog.
The draining is bad, but the clog, when your head feels like a giant balloon, it's like, do I want to live?
Yeah, I agree. The pain's worse with the clog, but I can't handle the mucus like running, and
it's terrible.
Like I threw up this weekend because of it because I couldn't handle it. So I'm torn because I hate throwing up too.
If I didn't have to sleep, I think I would maybe choose the drainage. But when you're so congested, you got like nose strips, Mucinex, doesn't matter. You still can't breathe out your nose. Like, you can't sleep. And that wears on me to no end.
Yeah, but haven't you ever had like the perfect like blow where it feels stuck and then it shoots out and you feel your sinus like release?
Oh, that's magic.
See,
I'm not sure.
But when it's so stuffed, like the mucus isn't loose yet, it's just blocking your head into a balloon. That's not happening at that point.
Yeah, because that's the worst part. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. When it comes out and you start to blow and like it's like a fistful of the nastiness in your Kleenex, I feel that like that's a little satisfying. As long as you're not, like you have it where it was drained down the back of your throat is really gross. And that has gotten me to gag a few times this weekend and now this week as well.
Oh, no. We're starting.
It begins. Oh, no. Is it contagious? I saw Brandon mute his mic, and then instantly Travis starts hacking his lungs out.
Travis didn't mute his mic.
No.
Sorry, we talked about that, and I still didn't do it. You're seeing Brandon break up like that.
Hannah,
got me laughing. The boys are calling for sign language.
Are you guys ready for my shower thought?
Let's get into
for sure.
it.
My shower thought is, are men worse at being sick than women? Because Trav and I both had the man cold. And maybe Travis is a different experience than I. But when I'm sick, there's sometimes maybe the lady in my life makes me feel like I might be the weeniest man in the world when I'm sick. Because for her, it's like either you're sick, so sick you go to the doctor and you get whatever you need to get better, or you're not sick. There's no like in between of like, I need rest. Let the body heal. And I remember I asked her, I said, Bree, like, I know you're sick, but you're not acting sick. Like, what's your deal? She's like, well, if I'm sick and I can't be sick because I have responsibilities, I just tell myself that I'm not sick, and then I feel better. And I'm just like, well, first of all, not all of us are
what a man
Bene Gesserits that have mind powers. Like, if I ignore my symptoms, I'll get way worse.
Can you say that one more time about what she does? Because that sounded like
she just says if I feel sick but I can't be sick because of like life, I just tell myself I'm not sick and then I feel better.
That's mind magic.
Yeah. I'm sorry that I don't have magic powers. So my question is, are women just better at being sick? Because everyone in my house has this. Oh,
here we go.
Just a second. Traffic over.
Well, I have a quick question.
That's my speaker, Mike.
So what is a man cold? Is it just the fact that you guys are both men and you had the cold, or is it different than your common cold?
I'm back.
I think calling it a man cold answers this question.
Yeah.
That we are weenies when
like
it comes
a woman
to a cold.
That's the thing.
As strongly, right?
I have been told by a doctor that I have a very high pain tolerance because of like the things they were doing to me, and I was like holding a conversation with them. They're like, "You shouldn't be able to talk right now. Like, this should be excruciating." I'm like, "Yeah, it hurts, but like I'm all right." But apparently, if I'm sick, I'm gonna die. But I don't think I'm that way. But that's the view of me, if you know what I mean.
Same. Like, I feel like I could take injuries well, but sickness, biggest baby. Especially colds. Like, I think there might be another conversation where it comes to like flu versus cold. Because if I've got a fever and like this is crazy, but I'd rather have the flu than a cold. Because it just feels like I'm actually sick, and people tend to think flu is more bad than a cold.
So you get more sympathy.
Yeah, they like understand that you are actually sick. With a cold, people don't necessarily
get back to work.
Yeah, like people work through them, and I hate it.
Which is stupid because what we had was viral. Like, is the most contagious thing you can have.
Yeah, I took a day off this week for I can't remember ever taking a day off for a cold, and I did.
Why?
This week.
Because you forgot your skirt at home?
Yeah.
What's the matter with you? I guess I can't say that because women handle it way better.
No, I put on my man
What'd
pants
you
and
forget?
stayed home from work.
You forget your work boots at home? You weenie man. There he goes. So this is literally a trope. Like, have you guys seen, there's reels of this. Like short form videos on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, where people will show like my girlfriend when she's sick versus when she like has a minor injury. And it's like, when she's sick, like she's marching through the trenches, like can conquer the world. Minor injury, she's like, save me, I'm dying. And then guys are like the complete opposite. Like a guy is like, has a piece of steel stuck in his forearm. And he's like, yeah, I'm just going to go grab some milk real quick. I'll be right back. But like, if he's sick, he's like, the Victorian child sick in bed. I think I'm actually the opposite. I don't know. I think I'm a little bit different than you guys. Granted, like, this is going to age like absolute milk. I don't really get sick too often. So
knock on all the wood.
Like, seriously. But
wait till you have kids.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll take it out of me. But I do know that, like, I don't have the same pain tolerance you guys do. If I get a headache, like, cancel all my plans.
Oh, dude, don't. Headaches.
The next couple... I hate it.
Yeah, if you get a bad headache, they're debilitating. You don't have to say you're a wimp because of that.
But I remember specifically one time I was back in Michigan, and I had plans to go golfing. I had plans to go disc golfing. But I was also trying to fix this tire on the parents' lawnmower. And something slipped, and I smashed my thumb. And it's like the whole rest of my body felt fine. But the very tip of my thumb was just throbbing. And I was like inconsolable because it hurt. My plans for the weekend were ruined, and I was just like couch ridden for the next couple days, and it was just a smashed thumb. And I think, I don't know, a stronger person than me, or maybe a woman, would have been fine. But like, I was just, I was so peeved.
Do we have any theories as to why this is?
Great question.
I wonder, and I thought about saying it, but I wasn't gonna. But now that you asked, I'm gonna, because I don't know if I can word it properly without saying it right. But I wonder if it's the hardwiring of like man typically being like has to go out and do maybe more dangerous things and working through it, but that doesn't maybe make sense with sick. Like you'd still have to go out and do it, or it's
But that
social.
That feels more internal, though. Like, a man has to be hardened, like, physically, and, like, you know, wear leather skin and just brave the elements, basically.
But we don't when it comes to sick.
Well, when it comes to sick, that's all much more internal. You know, that's your respiratory system. That's your cardiovascular system. That's all that stuff going haywire. Like, that's different. That wouldn't necessarily have evolved to a greater length. What doesn't make sense is why that stuff has seemed to evolve in women. Like,
so I've got an idea.
They are
on that.
the warriors when it comes to that.
I think that might be because women have to go through so much pain, like with like interior pain with periods, like gee whiz, childbirth, all the interior stuff that goes on. Like kudos to them for doing that, but I think maybe they're used to some of that pain. Where like I honestly think if I had to go through a period without like growing into it and getting used to it, I might crumple up and die in the corner.
Yeah.
And
Massive props to the ladies for that. Have you seen the videos where like they simulate it with like electrodes and they'll do it on a guy and a girl, and the girl's like, yeah, this is pretty accurate. And then they put it on a dude and he does that. He crumples up into a ball and he's like, turn it off. Kills. Oh no. Got him.
Oh no.
Oh, if y'all aren't watching this is way more entertaining to watch. But yeah, I think that's a good theory, Trav. They have to have that resilience, that resistance. Their body is like at constant war if it's not having a child. And if they are having a child, it's at war too because of all the changes. Like it's wild.
And when we get sick or like there's interior pain, it's a rarity. When we're just like, nope, don't like it, and we turn into a little baby.
Yeah, but for them, it's just another day in the life.
That's my hypothesis.
I think you probably nailed it.
That all sounds pretty hard, but has a woman ever slept on a small couch with no blanket in the corner of the room?
No. I mean, probably.
I can't hit the mute.
Oh, okay. That was clearly a joke.
But well, yeah.
My hypothesis, because I'm sure you guys have done this. When I'm sick, I'm like, well, I can't work or like go places or like deal with my children. But back in the day when I was sick, I would stay a half day home from school, go in half day so that I could play my sport in the evening.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't feel good, but I was fine like during the game. And then I'd go back to feeling worse after because then I shouldn't have played a game, but during the game I was fine. And I don't know, maybe that other like daily life stuff is like the game for, in this case, my spouse. Like looking out for the family and the kids is their rivalry. So they're not losing to ML tonight, you know, no matter what. I don't know. That's just my shower thought, but I'm glad that you guys kind of see that maybe a similar way, but I don't know. Maybe I should have to get stronger and sharpen my mind so I can just turn off my sickness like my wife.
Yeah, men are really driven towards like disciplining things and trying to better get healthy, like Cody did after Michigan's playoff loss. Look at him now. What if we took this as that? Like, Next time I'm sick, I am gonna woman up. And just
No, I tried.
make
It doesn't work for me. I was doing like, what do you call those? Like meditations, like, saying what you want to happen. No,
You were doing affirmations.
Manifestations.
I was saying what was gonna happen. Oh no.
I'm just gonna say this is way better when you don't mute yourself. You just gotta ride it.
All right, I'm back.
All right, no more muting. That might be a mistake.
Well, that was a little long on the shower thought.
Oh, that's all right.
You guys want to get into our hot one segment?
Yeah,
Yeah,
kind
sure
of.
do.
I sort of forgot what I was gonna say. I'm a little bit miffed about it, but
It'll come to you.
I guess we'll see.
It'll come to you.
All right, I'll introduce it and you think about it.
All right.
Hot Ones is going to be just literally a hot take segment, and we're going to share our hot takes, but also rate each other's hot takes as maybe not hot enough, maybe just right, or maybe too spicy. If it's just like way outside of the range of what a hot take is, because that's the thing about hot takes is you have someone a hot take, and sometimes you get it's way too cold. Like, what's your hot take? Oh, I think the Lions are gonna be pretty good this year. Like, no duh. Like, they're gonna be good, which is also a statement on how far we've come. Because a couple of years back, he said, "I think Lions are gonna be good this year." Trav had that hot take every year, and he was wrong every year. And so nowadays, if I say the Lions are gonna be good, it's not hot because if you look at the power rankings, they're top 5 in the NFL. So you're looking for that sweet zone of something that's going to, like the perfect buffalo wing, it's going to make your eyes go a little bit wide when you take that bite because it's got some kick, but it's also kind of tasty too. So we're looking for that sweet spot of what a hot take is. Cody, did it come to you, or do you want me to go into one of my hot takes?
It did, but I do think you're going to have to start doing a few more of those intros and transitions because that was very succinctly put. I did think of my hot take. I got 2 of them, so I'll ease into it with one that's actually maybe not as spicy, but still kind of spicy. And I think that the transfer portal has actually been a little bit low-key a positive for college football. Just because...
No, Code, get rid of the low-key. Go hard on this hot take.
It's been a net positive, and the reason is because we've had dynasties that have just dominated the scene for years prior to the advent of the transfer portal the way that we have it today. You had Bama, who was basically the Patriots. You had Dabo's Clemson in there for a little bit, and he refuses to use the transfer portal, or at least get with the times the way other programs have, and they've really fallen off because of that. Nick Saban, you could argue he's out of the game because he saw that everybody else was going to be able to pay athletes and get them to switch to their school the way he's been doing it for years, and he didn't want to have to deal with that parity. So now, we were even talking about this in the Discord, nobody really even knows who the favorites are to win this year. Several years back, could you ever say that? You might have like 2 teams, but you would still have favorites. Now, there are so many teams that might be at that top level, or maybe we don't even have a top level because we feel like no team's as dominant as the dominance that we saw in years past. But now it could be like anywhere from 8 to 12 teams that we think actually have a legitimate chance to win the Natty. Last year's Natty winner had 2 losses. Say what you want about that.
Mickey Mouse.
That's something that you could say about that. But I think that does also speak to a greater level of parity that we haven't seen in college football. And so one of the biggest, I would say, strengths of these dynasties in the past wasn't just their ability to recruit 5-stars, but was their depth. They had 5-stars on 5-stars and 4-stars sitting on the bench. Today, you're not getting the playtime you want, just go switch to another powerhouse team, and you can maybe find your playtime there. So you don't have all that consolidation of power, and we're seeing much more variance in the teams that you'll see at the top from year to year because of it. And I think that's something that's really entertaining.
Not hot enough. But probably just because we're so of the same mind. Like, yeah. I think it's so clearly a net positive for everything that you just said. Like,
okay.
You could like point out some of the negatives, like if you wanted to fight, like to be like, no, it's terrible. If you wanted to point out like the timing, how there are players that were transferring like during the playoffs. That's pretty. But that's on the NCAA.
Well-
Like, just set like the transfer portal's good. Just have like a better timeline of when players can enter.
It's just it's not regulated, but also people also you can't really talk about the transfer portal without talking about NIL too, which is just the wild wild west. And I like the idea, honestly, of players being able to get paid for their name, image, and likeness. It gave us the new NCAA football game, so like that's a positive. But at the same time, like I don't like this idea of a Michigan can throw out millions of dollars and get their QB1. I think people would very quickly look to that as the negative foil of the transfer portal.
Well, good. I'm currently kind of liking that because we got a QB1 for millions of dollars.
Well, I mean,
a little bit exciting.
Obviously, it's great for our program, but you have to admit it's pretty gross too.
Oh yeah. Like I was thinking about it, where I saw a report from this top recruit that said, I think Clemson. It gave a team that they are offering this top recruit the most money, saying the biggest offer is coming from like Clemson at $2 million.
Miami. I saw that one.
And I thought, that is a weird headline. Like us, I think all of us would choose to go to Michigan if we could. But if that's off the table, we're a top recruit. Aren't you thinking about maybe
position.
Like the NFL's not a guarantee, and you're going to get $2 million to go play in Miami on the beaches? $2 million is a college freshman. That's going to play into my thinking. Like Wild Wild West for sure. I'm going to say that
end up like a Georgia player just speeding in your Lambo.
So I'm going to say not hot enough, but I liked it because I think we all are on the same page.
Yeah, we're all on the same page there.
Okay. My bad. But getting us started off on the low side so we can ease into some spicier waters.
I'll go next. Let's just go across the screen here. I've been sitting on this one for a minute.
Oh boy.
And it's tough for me because I was so far on the other side. Michigan State football coach Jonathan Smith. When he was hired, I thought he was a really good hire. He came from Oregon State and he built them up really well. My hot take is I just lost the guy's name. Who was the Pistons coach last year?
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Coach of the year before
Monty
that.
Williams.
Monty Williams.
My hot take is that Jonathan Smith is Monty Williams. Monty Williams, for those who might not know, he was the Pistons head coach last year, and before that, he was a very highly sought-after head coach. He had a lot of success with the Suns, and basically when Coach Dwayne Casey was fired, the Pistons were like, we need Monty Williams. We need Monty Williams. He's going to get us back over the hump. He's going to help build look what he did in Phoenix. And Monty Williams is like, no, I'm not coming to Detroit. And Detroit's like, okay, here's way more money to come to Detroit. And Monty Williams is like, fine. And then he comes to Detroit and he does. I'm convinced he didn't try.
Yeah.
His number one tactic was to just be a bully to Jaden Ivey. Like, oh, you've got talent? I hate you. Oh, you're good? I hate you more. So he basically clocked in, bullied Jaden Ivey, clocked out. Didn't do a single XO. The guy was there just to collect his millions of dollars. And they fired him after 1 year and paid a record buyout. So Monty Williams was really good and then was in a situation he didn't really care for and was getting paid a lot of money, and he didn't put forth the effort that he did in his previous career. Jonathan Smith is an alum of Oregon State. He was coaching at Oregon State, and then the Pac-12 falls apart, and Oregon State is without a conference. He's starting to think, if I ever want to play for a championship or if I want to coach a team that matters, kind of have to leave Oregon State, even though his heart is probably there being an alumni. Michigan State reaches out. They pay him a lot of money. And maybe it's just because he resembles a little bit Coach Jim Caldwell of the Lions, where the guy literally never shows emotion. You never know what the guy's thinking. He's on the sidelines. It could be great. It could be bad. And he's got a stone face with nothing happening. partly why I was okay with Caldwell being fired, because the Lions would get screwed every which way every Sunday, and he would never fight for his team. And I hated that. I needed a fiery coach. We got that now for sure. I think this guy's Monty Williams. I think he's just there to cash that check until it stops coming, because they're not recruiting well. They're not hitting the transfer portal like Cody talked about. I think they're going to be bad again this year. Literally, it's just like, can Aiden Childs become amazing consistently? Because he had flashes last year, but he was roller coaster. He also had flashes of being terrible. Michigan State is going to need to cut bait on this guy. And ironically, a report came out that Michigan State fired their AD, and he had a clause in his contract which cut his buyout in half. So we could see maybe the end of this Jonathan Smith era pretty soon. You thought it was bad under Mel Tucker. It might be bad for a different reason now, but it's I think even worse. So that's my hot take. He is Monty Williams.
So your hot take is that this is even worse than Mel Tucker? Is that what you just said?
No, I think it's gonna
Run the tape back.
I think it's gonna feel worse on the field, because with Mel Tucker, at least they had some success. I think that this year they're gonna feel truly hopeless.
I don't know. I'm not sure I've seen a worse secondary, especially when the head coach was a secondary coach, and he's at the podium saying he's a horse poop coach. They still won 11
games and beat Michigan. So
Yeah,
my hot take is
Kenny
that
Walker.
Jonathan Smith, who I thought was a good hire, just like I thought Monty Williams was a good hire. Jonathan Smith is Monty Williams. That's my hot take.
I'm going to give that a score of Flamin' Hot Cheetos, where they're hot, but you can eat a whole mini bag of those and be okay.
Any Cheetos, you could, yeah.
Yeah, it's still good. So it's not like blazing hot, because I agree. I was watching a highlight of Drew Stanton leading Michigan State to a 31-point comeback, and it was over Northwestern, so it wasn't crazy. But like the hype of old Michigan State, they feel like a dead in the water program right now.
Different program, yeah.
They are not respected. They were making the playoff not too long ago. The playoff era is not that long, and they were there. So you're right. Like, there's no excitement or energy coming. Like,
I say that though, and then I can completely see myself being wrong, because he's legit a good coach. Like, to win, like, I think he won 10 games at Oregon State. Like that's like winning the national championship. Like, that never happens.
And they have a quarterback who's potentially very exciting.
He's very exciting to watch.
Monty Williams very exciting, had pretty great exciting. Turnaround at the Suns too. So.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can see it being a little bit of a hot take, just because, like, honestly, right now, what incentive do you have to go to Michigan State right now? I feel like they are really deep in the trenches of a rebuild. They really have to rebuild their identity and their brand. And, he's only into what is like second season as head coach.
This will be year 2, yeah.
This will be year 2.
Give him some time.
It is very early to be throwing around accusations like that, but I will take any opportunity to poo all over MSU. So for me, that's not spicy enough. I would say that just to get a rise out of people and just to make myself feel good.
Don't worry, I got a pretty spicy one for our next one, but you've kind of already know that one. But I'll say it again. Trav, what's your hot take?
All right, so the topic I think we're all going to agree on, but the fix is the spicy part. So the topic, I've been watching and soaking in these NBA playoffs, and the end results of these games have been great. And the ratings have been high because, like, you've got stars and doing star things. However, the product is at an all-time low for the majority of the game. It is pass up on an open layup for a 3. Boston shot 60 threes in their last game and made 15 of them. They made 15 threes. So they missed 45 3-pointers and lost the game. Who wants to watch that?
And the amount of free throws, too, in that game was insane.
Who wants to watch this style of basketball? And I say that the ratings are high because the star power and, like, celebrity of NBA is high right now. If they could fix the full product, there's other things they need to fix, too, like the flopping, foul baiting. But my fix is just going to focus on the 3-pointers right now. And it's maybe twofold. The first part, eliminate corner threes. So instead of the 3-point arch going all the way to the baseline, it is just an arch that goes sideline to sideline. So you eliminate the corner three completely, which is incentivizing guys just sitting in the corner waiting for it, because it's the closest three on the floor. And it stretches the feet, stretches the court, stretches the defense. So the guy's just hanging out there. Like, I remember watching Michigan when they had Nick Stauskas, and sometimes they just stick him in the corner to try and stretch the floor because he was drawing their strong defenders. And we'd lose out on some prime Nick Stauskas time because he was just kind of the decoy for most of the plays. So that's it. I contemplated moving the 3-point line back as well, maybe a few inches, maybe really far to Steph range to de-incentivize it even more. People will still take it. The game will evolve, and eventually they'll just shoot it from there and probably get good at it. But for now, I'm going to leave it at eliminate the corner threes.
So would there still be like an arch? Like it would arch to the sidelines?
Yep, sideline to sideline. So it's like a crescent moon, but doesn't go all the way to the baseline.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a pretty interesting solution that I probably
spicy.
never would have thought of.
Yeah.
And I do like it as a hot take. I think it's just right for me.
Yeah.
But I will say there's an easier solution. The solution is stop watching playoff NBA and watch playoff NHL, because those games, oh buddy, they have been so good. And yeah, you don't have to worry about, because my approach to playoff NBA is I have been skipping the first 3 quarters, and I have watched not even the full fourth. I usually clock in about 7-8 minutes.
I know
like,
that's
this
true.
is pretty good.
Yep.
I made the cardinal sin last night where I saw the Pacers were down by 20 and I turned it off, knowing that, one, the Pacers are right now the best fourth quarter team of all time, and two, in the NBA, 3.5 quarters don't matter.
I've made that comment so many times, and sure enough, like the Pistons will be down 17, and it's like 3 quarters in, it's like, it's not the fourth yet. Tune in at the fourth. We got ourselves a game. That's the way to watch, Trev.
I'll throw this out. Keep an eye on the odds when some of those teams get down by 15, because the Pacers were at like plus 3,000 when they were down 20. And there's been multiple double-digit comebacks in these playoffs. Like every single game has one. So there's some chance for some fun betting there.
Why is that? Why can't a team hold a double-digit lead into the fourth?
I can tell you why.
I need it.
Officiating. The officials, they try to keep games close. I mean, it is so obvious. And it kills me, because you'll watch a team go on a run, they'll get up 10, 15, 20, and all of a sudden the rest will not let them do a single thing until the game's back to single digits. It's a farce. It's ridiculous, and I hate it.
That's so – I can't figure it out either, Code, because in other basketball, college, like when a team is up 15, 20, that means they're playing better that night. Like it takes usually a lot to get up an amount like that. So something's got to give, and it's happening so often that you have to be right, Brandon.
I love hearing that, but people would disagree pretty heavily anytime you criticize officiating. But I think my eyes are telling me this is what's happening, and to me it ruins it. Really, you want the players to decide the game, not be like, well, can't let it get out of hand. So
that's a bonus hot take for me right there, and I am
straight fouls.
All for it. That's
good, because my next hot take's gonna make me really unpopular.
Let's hear it.
Let's go.
Cody's already heard this one.
I bet you it's not going to be more unpopular than mine.
We'll see. The Lions Super Bowl window is closed. As they are built right now, it's closed, and I don't want to be this guy. The way they are built, they can't win a Super Bowl with Jared Goff at quarterback.
So, Brad, let me ask you this. You're the GM.
Yes.
Believing what you believe. If you get offered, dang it, why does
Shohei Ohtani?
No,
I'll
not
take
Shohei. You're not the GM of the city of Detroit this time. Justin Fields for Goff. Knowing that
That's a bad trade.
It's a bad trade, but let's say they throw in like
Sauce Gardner.
No, because that makes too much more sense. I want it to be clearly a bad trade.
So let me
if they had Justin Fields, is their Super Bowl window open?
No. Justin Fields isn't quite electric enough or dynamic. Like he's a great runner of the football, but he's not good enough yet at throwing. He could potentially develop. I'm not sure because I don't think he's been in a situation to develop yet because he was at the Bears, who were terrible, and then he was with the Steelers, who actually played decent for. Then they replaced him with Russ. So under the right tutelage, I'm not sure still what Justin Fields can be. I do know that he tore up Detroit every single time he played them.
Yep.
As he is now, I'm not saying he's an upgrade or anything like that. My whole point is Jared Goff is a really good quarterback. He's easily a top 10 quarterback in the league.
Pin it.
The problem is Jared Goff isn't good enough that he can win on an offense first team. If Jared Goff was on a defense first Lions, where they were the best defense in the NFL, I think they could win a Super Bowl. But they're a team constructed to be an offense first team. You see what they do in the draft. I mean, we're going to prioritize offensive line. I agree with that. I think offensive line is probably up there as the most important thing you can have. But if you had Jared Goff as I'm not going to make mistakes, I'm going to keep the offense on track game manager type, and the defense is going to suffocate teams, like he's like a Ravens with a Joe Flacco, where it can happen for sure. The Lions are constructed as an offense first team, and Jared Goff unfortunately sets the offense back too many times with getting sacked because he can't move in the pocket. He's just physically limited that way. Or as we saw in the playoffs, just too many interceptions. The crazy thing is he doesn't throw a ton of interceptions, but when he does, it's debilitating because he doesn't make up for it enough as an electric quarterback. Pat Mahomes can throw a few interceptions. You're like, and everyone's like, oh, Pat Mahomes, he's not that good. But then he leads the team back, and then they end up winning on like a final drive because he's so good that his mistakes, he overcomes them. Same thing with like a Joe Burrow. Lamar Jackson did that basically in the playoffs, and they still lost, but he played so well after a few mistakes where he erased them and then some. Jared Goff doesn't have quite the elite ability to erase his own mistakes, so he has to play perfect. I don't think you're putting him in the position to succeed at a level which would lead you to hoisting the Lombardi. Jared Goff's really good. I really like Jared Goff, but I just think how the team is constructed, they will not win a Super Bowl.
What is the lowest good quarterback you would take that would push him to the top? Like Jalen Hurts. Would he?
Okay, so Jalen Hurts is the perfect example because of his running ability, and he can throw it well enough. Like, he's not a great thrower of the football, but he's good enough that he keeps defenses honest, especially with a deep ball. And you saw that in the Super Bowl. So Jalen Hurts is the prime example of a guy that has the extra weapons in himself. I mean, that, yes, that's the kind of guy you need.
Okay.
And then you have the obvious answers, at the very top. But yeah, Jalen Hurts is like example number one in my head of this is a guy that you can win a Super Bowl with because I freaking love the tush push. I wish the Lions could run the tush push because that changes the game, in my opinion. Now, Who knows? Maybe they're going to vote it out of the game. I think they shouldn't. I think it's beautiful being a rugby player. I know that it probably really hurts those guys, though. But I think, man, that's man-on-man pushing, and you're not stopping. Oh, that's great. Great
Get
football.
Jalen Hurts push.
Jalen Hurts can squat like 700 pounds. I mean, he's a freak.
Yeah.
I get tired when I squat my body weight. So, I mean, I have a lot of respect for a guy that can just get low and just churn those legs.
I threw my back out playing Papa Shot last week.
Oh, man.
That's a major bummer. You going to be recovered in time for the tourney?
Today was my first day of feeling a little bit better.
Okay.
So
keep us posted.
I've been working on it.
Yeah, I just want to say all those teams that have been pushing for the tush push to get banned come across as softer than a man with a cold. That grinds me to no end because it's not like they're doing something that other teams can't attempt to replicate on their own.
Yeah, it's not cheating.
They're just not good enough at it. Get stronger.
Get stronger, get lower. Learn from a scrum from a rugby. It's literally a rugby scrum, and the lower team that pushes harder and lower wins the scrum.
Yeah, that drives me nuts.
It's beatable. So, you just learn.
Yeah.
So yeah, I jumped the gun on judging that take, Brand. I thought you were saying that simply in this era you can't win without a mobile quarterback, but you're simply saying that the Lions aren't min-maxed enough.
Pretty much. And I mean, you're not far off, like, not necessarily mobile, but like extra super elite. Because I mean, I don't know how mobile you would say, like, Joe Burrow, like he's agile in the pocket, like he navigates pockets really, really well. Mm-hmm. But he's not like gonna run for a ton of yards.
But he's elite on the throwing, though.
Oh, so accurate.
Seriously.
And Jared Goff is really good at throwing the football. I mean, accuracy was awesome this year. But the dude is a baby giraffe in the pocket. I mean, just legs everywhere. And I mean, you breathe and he falls over.
So if we had Joe Burrow, like,
well, yeah,
that's easy.
Joe Burrow is so
easy
good.
Super Bowl winners.
Yeah, no,
that just made Joe the answer to the question favorites. Of what better
Joe
throwing.
Burrow is on such a bad team. Like, the Bengals are run so poorly. Okay, they've got great receivers, but they have terrible offensive line. They have terrible defense. And yet he's dragging them into, like, contention. Jamar Chase is the best receiver in the NFL, but Joe Burrow is... I can't believe he's still alive to keep playing because he gets hit more than any quarterback. The guy's got guts of steel, insane, like... People have said, like, as far as, like, processing the game, he's the closest to Brady there's been. Like, the dude just sees the field differently.
Great hair.
The best hair.
Good aura for a silly little white boy. So, yeah, I got a lot of respect for Joe Burrow. Getting
smoked more than any quarterback. Their defense sucks. Yet his stats were insane last year, and they couldn't sniff the playoffs. It's kind of tough to watch, actually.
To quickly rate your hot take, I think you might be right, but it's also very hot because we are in the glory days of Detroit football right now.
Yeah, we went 15-2 last year.
And you're just trying to tear us down with that hot take. So you're in Grandpa's Zip-Zab room, putting your feet on the wood burner and melting the bottom of your boots in the winter.
That's always a good time. That's not ice. That's your rubber.
Yep.
I'm really torn because the point of a hot take is to be spicy, and it's not whether or not we agree with it. So I don't know, might get some bad rap from the community to not be, pooing on you for that one, Brand. But that might be just right because it does give fuel for thought. You got to wonder.
Yeah, I mean, if you hate this, like, look at the injuries last year. Be like, Brandon, you're so stupid. Like, every player was injured. Like, the defense was really good.
Like 15 players on defense on IR.
Yeah.
We had no linebackers. Our edges were dead.
There was guys who saw that field against the Commanders who I was like, I don't remember that guy.
Yeah. They
watched every
game facility that week. We had elementary teachers who are playing for us. You can't prep for that. You just can't.
Yeah, I feel like I'm putting myself out there on this one.
I think you're wrong, but I think that's still a good hot take. Like, that's the point of a hot take. Proud of you for putting yourself out there. Just prepare for the backlash.
I'm not ready.
Code, you got your next hot take?
Yeah, y'all are gonna crucify me for this one.
Good.
I was talking to Brooke the other day, and she agreed with me that crab is actually not that good. It's just it's actually just an excuse to eat an exorbitant amount of butter. It's a very good vessel for butter.
Mm-mm.
But crab without butter, it's like imagine normal popcorn without butter. Like it's fine. It's even good. But without butter, that's what takes it to the next tier. And there's a lot of foods that are like that.
I learned I can mute Cody, and this is just hot, too much. We don't need to hear this.
Point of the segment, then, if you're gonna mute me when I finally give you a hot take.
You're back.
Yeah. I'll be back. I need to go find the wood.
I'll get the nails.
Yeah, you think you know somebody.
Here's the thing, though. It's also like if it's real crab, it's so much work to get it out of the shell.
It's half the fun.
No, because
And not half the fun, because the
These
flavor
kids
is
these
all
days,
the
they
fun.
don't even try.
I do try, but the thing is, and I'll own this. I'm bad at it. By the time I'm done with my like one leg, y'all are done with 4, and like now we're out of crab. And it's like, well, this was neat. I get to have a fourth of what everybody had because I'm fumbling around with a stupid crab leg.
With Mother's Day coming up, it reminds me, do you guys remember going to the Chinese buffet for Mother's Day and they had the crab special? And
Yeah.
I think I'm a pretty good eater, and crab is one of my favorite foods. Brandon put us
One of my
all to
game
shame.
sevens.
We were done. We were done eating. Brandon could have went for another. He did go for another hour, and could have probably went for another hour after that of just hammering these crab legs. Honestly, one of the most impressive average man. It was amazing. So, Brand, that kudos to you. I think about that pretty often.
Yeah, ran Big King Buffet out of town. Just don't even come back.
It's a Mount Rushmore
Crazy
of
that we're-
average man performances.
Crazy that we're calling your gluttony your Game 7 performance.
First of all, crab
All right.
is not that bad for you.
That's not what
It's very
gluttony means.
Low calorie. So, and I could have
Doesn't have to
ran
be
a
bad for
5K
you.
after. I felt great. It was a different era, though. You know,
Yeah, let's see it now.
no, don't got it in me anymore.
Yeah, Code. That was
That's too hot.
yeah. You flew
Whatever.
a little too close to the sun on that one.
Somebody had to.
Yeah, okay, Icarus.
We were playing a little too safe.
I just said the Lions can't win a Super
Brandon
Bowl,
tried, and you.
and then you're like, well, guess what? Crab sucks.
yeah. Well, I told you mine was going to be more unpopular, so suck it, because you were not right. Well, we'll see.
Now, you said you're going to cruise on. I was like, it's not going to be that bad, and then I was ready to release
Find
Barabbas.
that's what you were saying. Let me find the wood. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's why I said I'm bringing the nails.
Oh, I missed that.
All right,
That was fun.
I got one quick hitter for you for my second. And Cody already brought it, and then Brandon brought it. I thought, and then Cody sent it to the moon, to the sun. So I'll go easy. The U.S. men's national team soccer will perform well in the World Cup, and I think that this bad, horrible stretch they're in is a good thing.
How is it a good? You think it's going to build character?
It
Like-
is a wake-up call.
What is perform well?
Yeah, that's a good question.
At least,
clarifying
I'm going to
question.
say round of 16. The home crowd, they truthfully have the talent. They're lacking that American hustle.
That's not performing well for me. That's
Six-
the expectation.
Okay, so that's not the hot take part necessarily. The hot take is that this horrible season they're in of just
That's a bit
outright some
hot.
of the worst soccer I've seen from American teams is a good thing.
I think that's it's hard for me to qualify these because I very strongly disagree, but that's kind of the point of a hot take. I mean, at least you're able to. So why again do you think it's going to be good?
This team, I think, has the talent to match with most of the world teams. Maybe not all, but most. But they do not have that dog that the U.S. used to have, where that U.S. could rely on. We're not as good as everyone else, but we are going to fight. We are America, and we're going to push through. Like, remember when we got so ticked off at Greg Berhalter? I can combine the two names of the last two coaches, but not.
Yeah, you got it.
Did I say the right one? Where
that was right.
He complained about. He said, pretty much the U.S. can't get very far in the World Cup.
Oh no, you're talking about Jurgen Klinsmann.
Klinsmann, yep, the German. I hated that. That's not an American answer. Like, we're there to fight and to win. And yeah, you might be right, but don't say that. Don't tell the team that. Don't tell us that. And that's what I feel like maybe this era we're in currently of bad soccer could be a wake-up call for some of these guys. Like, I think Pooley has that dog in him, and I think some of the other guys are potentially do, but it's not there yet. And if you can mix those two together, if this can wake them up, then their potential is very high.
This is going to sound pretty bad, but you have to hear me through it. Is the current U.S. men's roster a little like too diverse in that we have these people who are like, I got a few different nations I could play for actually, but I guess I'll play for America. And you have all these guys who are playing in Europe and that are getting minutes at much higher quality clubs than you'd find in the MLS. But because of that, as a contrast to, several years back when all our soccer players were essentially these MLS for lifers who representing the crest, the badge of the U.S. was the highest honor. And that was something that they took so much pride in. I feel like that's maybe something that's kind of missing from this group. They kind of take it for granted. Like, yeah, I'm a European soccer player. Of course, I'm going to represent my country. It's just another day. I wonder if there's a little bit of that pride that's missing because I don't know. It seems different with this group. Like they don't care about it as much. And so I wonder if that's maybe a little bit of a detriment to their national identity.
I 100% agree with you. And that's partially why I have this hot take that something needs to shake that up. And maybe they can lose some pride and be embarrassed by what's happening to where that might build up the pride of the crest again. That's the hope.
Yeah. Because, for their individual development, being as diverse and playing in Europe has been phenomenal for the skill ceiling of this team. There's so much talent in this U.S. player pool. So the fact that they've been underperforming to this extent is just so frustrating. And you think when you have a switch at coach that you have somebody who's a bit more accomplished, you can finally start to see that growth, and you just don't see it. And you're getting CONCACAF'd, the year prior to your World Cup on home soil. I think it's a little bit too close to the start of the World Cup to be having these issues for it to be a positive thing. I think at some point in time, having these wake-up calls would be positive. But if you want to really compete, make the quarterfinals. I think for me, making the quarterfinals would be a successful run. I don't expect them to make it beyond that, but I think the round of 16 is the expectation with this group, because this is our golden era. If we can't do better than that, there's no hope for U.S. soccer. So I think it's a little too close to the U.S. World Cup for that to be happening, for this to be happening. But I do like your take of almost, manufactured adversity to really take this team to the next level. They don't have a dog. Like you said, they have nobody who's a leader in that locker room. They don't have a Dempsey. They don't have a Howard. They need somebody to step up and light a fire under their butts. Hopefully maybe Poach can do that. But right now, these guys just don't seem to care.
Every single great sports movie where the team ends up being the champion in the end starts with them sucking at the beginning. So
I'm gonna label this as just right for hotness because I do vehemently disagree, which probably means it's a good hot take.
Perfect.
Because I would have said, the part where they suck was when under the old coach, where everything was terrible and we were all so angry, and then you expect to see a bump under a new guy that supposedly is supposed to be an improvement, and we haven't seen it. I think usually you would see improvement. I know that there's different philosophies and it takes time to implement, but as far as you want to see a different culture, and I'm not sure that, like you guys have said, that maybe that's shined through yet. So maybe you're right. I'm not feeling very good. I'll just say that.
Coach Poach said not long ago that this team still has what it takes to win the World Cup. Do you think that's
I
just
love
coach
that.
speak, or what do you make of that?
If he's wrong, it's gonna be hot. But that's the right American answer.
What if they get grouped?
Then that sucks.
I think it's pretty wild to think about this group winning a World Cup, but I do love that American energy. There's something so a little bit arrogant about it that is very American, in a good way when it comes to athletics. You want to play with that chip on your shoulder, like, you don't believe I can do it? Watch this. And that's something that this team doesn't have, so I'm glad that the coach is at least looking like he's willing to bring it.
And you're right, they do need to figure it out before the World Cup. Like, they can't get hot right before, because you got to build up that energy. Like, going to a U.S. men's national team game is so fun. Like, if you haven't seen the Cody highlight video on TikTok, Cody started the USA chant at the USA versus Canada game in Nashville a few years ago.
Yeah, they drew that stupid game.
That was a stupid ending, but Code, was that that's a bucket list item you crossed off, starting the USA chant?
Yeah, and just even attending one of those games, it's so different from a normal sporting event because, for starters, most of the people that are in the stadium are all Americans cheering against an entirely different country. So a lot of times there's not that many people representing the other country that are in attendance. For Canada, there's a few.
Mexico, they take over.
For Mexico, it's mainly Mexico, which is very sad. Stop having the games in California. Ohio is where it should be. Put it in Cincy every time. But
that's the only argument I'll ever hear about Ohio should host something.
They should 100% host the U.S. matches because it makes it a much more pro-America crowd. But when you're in attendance and the whole stadium is singing the Star-Spangled Banner, and there's just so much national pride for this team, that's something that, it's different. It's got a different feel from other sports events. So I'm really, really, I'm putting it on the U.S. team to pick it up for this upcoming window because I want to go to a World Cup game. You're talking about a bucket list item. I want to go. It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing, and I want this team to live up to the hype. I want them to give me something to travel for. If they're going to keep playing like this, it's going to make it a very difficult decision. I don't want to go and watch us get stomped on by whoever we play. I want to watch the golden era of U.S. soccer on U.S. soil, and we're running out of time to achieve that.
And we're running out of time here on this episode, too, because this U.S. men's team segment went longer than I meant. However, you brought it up, and I have to say it because it's one of my great passions in sports. Not even, I think, a hot take anymore. USA people who are setting up the games and the national anthems, stop having people sing it. Stop having an audio play that is instrumental that you can't sing along to. Just play the most sing-alongable track and let the crowd sing it. Other countries do it, and it's beautiful. When we get to do it, it's the greatest thing ever. The crowd is yearning for the Star-Spangled Banner. They want to sing it, and you're not giving us the chance. Let us sing it. Had to say that.
I'm curious, how other people feel on the topic, because I was literally talking to Brooke about that, and she was talking about, she doesn't even watch sports. She was just saying, it's dumb how, they always have people who are just riffing on the national anthem, and, nobody can sing along with it, because they're just adding in all this extra bits that is you can't follow along. Just play the track.
Yeah, that's one of my irrational angers.
I'm with you. All right, let's get off this segment. We did say it was an episode of Hot Ones, so hopefully that was hot enough for y'all. But we do have some football content to get into. We did say we were going to talk about some Michigan football. I was going to throw it to Brandon, but maybe I should, just churning it up for a little bit until he's ready.
Brad, you ate that cough like a woman. Well done.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, we had some. It's a little bit delayed, but spring game action wasn't that long ago, and you know, being our resident sicko,
Yeah,
Brandon made sure
so
to
sick.
catch the cold and also watch all the spring footage action, so you don't have to. So
Hmm.
Brandon has some insights and takeaways that he would like to share with the group.
Yeah, as Cody said, the name of the segment is Brandon watches Michigan spring game, so you don't have to, because don't waste your time. Like, unless you're sick like me and you have a disease and you watch it twice. Uh, so I dug in deep. I got real deep with it, and I do have some hot takes, because this is our Hot Ones episode. And most people will tell you don't have big takeaways from the spring game. And to them, I say, if you're not having a hot take or a big sweeping takeaway from a spring game, then why are you watching and why are you living? I think that's what it's there for, to overreact to. So I got some overreactions, and you can take them or leave them. I'm not going to bury the lead. Bryce Underwood, that's what I want to start with. Stat line, not that impressive. Watching the game, I felt pretty good. I think he, first of all, he is just so much better than what we had last year. Um, Gone are the days of watching Alex Orji skip a pass out to the sideline. I remember being in attendance to see that and feeling my heart drop into my socks.
Can you still believe that was real?
We were cheering because we wanted to see him. We're like, he's on the field, because it took forever, and then he did
Yeah.
that. And we went, oh, that's why he wasn't on the field.
There
Well,
was
Davis
literally
Warren
like
was
a
so
hush
bad.
over the entire stadium, and you could just hear the collective energy of, "Oh, that explains it.
Oh, we are not winning a natty.
We are screwed." That's what that hush was.
So Bryce Underwood, I just generally I thought he looked good. What I really liked about it was that he played the whole game. Usually a spring game, your starters are playing a quarter, and in this case, a lot of guys did. Some guys didn't even play the full quarter, but Bryce Underwood and Jaden Davis were on opposite sides. They were the only two healthy quarterbacks, so they went back and forth playing against each other the whole day. I think that was so good for them, because some of the negatives, Bryce Underwood is going to be able to work through those, because he had a few delay of games, game management stuff, where it's like he's going to get that out of his system because he can see the issue in spring rather than having to worry about it in fall camp, or let's just say possibly week 1 or week 2. Mikey Keene's going to come back, and I do think there will be a battle, but I still feel pretty good about Bryce Underwood. As far as what I liked specifically, he looked really comfortable in the pocket. So last year, once again, you're looking at our quarterbacks, they looked like they were just spazzing out. I mean, Davis Warren, you could see his head snapping back and forth, trying to read his progressions at the speed of light. And Bryce went through his progressions. He looked, honestly, just the way he was going about his business in the pocket. He navigated the pocket well, and he just looked like he knew what he was supposed to do, where he was supposed to go with the football. It looked like a veteran as far as reading the field, moving, avoiding pressure. It looked really good. There's a couple times that his reads were wrong, but I think a couple of those times is because of the Wink Martindale defense that simulates a man pressure, then his zone, or simulates zone and then his man. And those are good mistakes to make, because then you learn to not assume and lock in on the read beforehand. So I loved what he did in the pocket and with his progressions. He had 2 touchdowns that were dropped. So the stat line, you're only seeing 1 touchdown, and it was on a trick play at the end of the game. He had 2 touchdowns. One of them was a dot to a receiver that resembles us in stature, a guy that is a walk-on, and we'll see. There's a roster crunch potentially coming up, depending on what Congress determines, because the NCAA can't make up its own rules. So basically, if they pass it, they have to get their rosters numbers down to 100 and 115, 110, something like that. And the walk-ons are obviously going to be the ones to go. So this guy might not be on the team come fall. We'll see. It was a really awesome pass that he just couldn't quite bring in. Might have been his best throw of the day. Another one was to a freshman that just kind of mistimed his jump. It was also a really good pass. So 2 more touchdowns, probably like 20-ish yards you could add to that stat line. Negatives. Oh, well, one more positive. He's really good at the out routes or the comeback routes. So those are the ones you used to see like Cornelius Johnson run a lot, where you run down the field and you stick your foot in the ground, you come back. A lot of times you're going towards the out of bounds. He kills at those because of his arm strength. That's one of those things. It's like, as a defensive back, how do you stop that? I wouldn't know unless you're sitting on it. It's like a free 10 to 12 yards when you do plays like that. On the negatives, I really wish he had more touch on his passes. It's kind of like, come on, layer that ball. And we don't need a laser beam every single time. And there was quite a few plays where he threw lasers where if he would have layered it over the linebacker or, to drop in between the safeties, that's the kind of, and that's my biggest concern. Is that something that he can develop in, or is that something he doesn't have in his game? And that's what the pros do. That's why I was so impressed with CJ Stroud at Ohio State. He could layer the ball over the linebacker in between the safety before he get there. And that's where Bryce is going to have to grow. Didn't see a lot of touch on his passes, but if there was a window, he'd just rifle it in and it would be on target. His worst pass of the day, he had Channing Goodwin wide open on a deep post, and he threw the ball. So Channing Goodwin is running basically into the end zone, and he threw it about 5 yards out of bounds through the back of the end zone. He was as open as Cornelius Johnson was against Ohio State. I mean, just no one in the vicinity, and he throws it 5 yards out of bounds. And you're like, you'd love to have that. On the other side of that, he threw that from about like the 48-yard line, like past the 50, so like 65-ish air yards. Like, and it was not 100% power. Like, holy cow. How do you do that? Like, he just flicked it 65 yards in the air. So you want to see a better accurate ball there, but at the same time, it's like, it's kind of crazy, impressive. And then the play after that, I talked about Jared Goff earlier, like he makes a mistake, but he can't quite make up for it. The play after that, so then it's like 3rd and long, he scrambled and then ran 20 yards to get a first down. And then they, I think, scored later on that drive. So made up for the issue, the mistake with his crazy athleticism. I felt positive overall with Bryce Underwood. Very much room to grow. I still think Mikey Keene is probably going to give him a run for his money because Mikey Keene is crazy accurate and he has like 8,000 passing yards in his career. The dude knows what he's doing. So we'll see in fall, but overall, Bryce Underwood, I felt good about. Other side of the coin, my first hot take is that Jaden Davis is not only unplayable, but he's a bust. Jaden Davis was at one point a 5-star recruit, at one point the second highest rated quarterback. And then his senior season, he kind of dropped off a bit. Still a high 4-star. And you'd think like, hey, we got a high 4-star. He could be like a really good backup for Bryce Underwood. No, he's not good. He has a really wonky delivery where he takes the ball really far back before he throws it. It's very slow, and I can see it happening regularly where a defensive end comes around and just swats the ball because he's got that ball a quarter mile behind his head. It's like he's reaching far back like a pitcher. And it doesn't work for football. Not only does the ball take longer to get out so that defensive backs adjust, but defensive lines can swat it down, which did happen. And not just with the wonky delivery, the pocket presence. Like I said, Bryce was so good. His was terrible. He got sacked a few times because he would take too far of a drop and then just chill way back there. And your tackles have to be able to push guys behind you. He didn't step up. His accuracy was not great. That's my hot take. I hate to say it. The dude is a bust. I don't think he will ever take a meaningful snap for Michigan. If he does, something terrible has happened. and it will not go well for them. So Jaden Davis, my spring game report, 3 red X's. Yeah. Running game looked really good. Bryson Cusdahl, he had a Benjamin Hall type spring game where he looked awesome, and he's probably our 5th string now that we brought in 2 transfers, but he looked really, really good. Our 2 starters did not play much, but both looked good. Justice Haynes was really good, and then Jordan Marshall barely played. He played the first quarter, and he only had a handful of handoffs that he took, and he was fine. Wide receiver is the weak link in this team. Donovan McCulley made a really nice. I know that's not crazy. I'm not breaking your mind there, but Donovan McCulley had a really nice catch from Jaden Davis. It was a free play, so he just threw it up to him, and he just went up and grabbed it, which is something we haven't had. But then he didn't see a target the rest of the day. He also only played the rest of that quarter, and Jaden Davis threw it 3 times in the first quarter. So he looked fine. Fred Moore only had 1 target, and he dropped it. It was right in his hands. Samaj Morgan did nothing. I'm trying to think of anyone else.
They're saving him. You can't put it all out there.
I went ahead and said that Jaden Davis is a bust, but yeah, Samaj might be the next one on that
tread
list.
Carefully, Brand.
I mean, man, you get a spring game and you're playing and you can't even get a target. I don't believe he was targeted. So wide receiver, I'm just man, these guys they need some dudes. How? So the coach this year, dude, figure something out, because if you've got a stud at quarterback and the rest of your team is coming together, you cannot just let wide receiver be the thing that holds you back. We kind of saw it with Penn State, actually, where in their semifinal game against Notre Dame, I don't think their wide receivers had more than 10 yards receiving. It was all to Warren, their tight end. So, yeah, got to grow there. Channing Goodwin, actually, I thought looked like he maybe had some chemistry with Bryce Underwood, but he might be okay, he's got to get better too. Jamar Browder, who everyone was talking up like crazy, he was one that dropped the touchdown, and he had dropped another ball too. So he looked like a freshman. So yeah, he's 6'5", 200. That's great. You got to be good at the position too. So maybe chill out on the Browder hype, Michigan media. Tight ends, they didn't really play much because there were some injuries, but Jalen Hoffman is Max Bredesen's backup, and he was awesome. He had over 100 yards receiving. He caught 1 first down where he was kind of running almost like a halfback angle type of route, because he plays the H-back. He's not really a tight end as much as, he's kind of a tight end, but he's more like a fullback. And he comes out of the backfield and runs the angle on the linebacker. The linebacker's draped all over him, but Bryce rifles it right on his fingertips, and he just Spider-Man just sucked it in while he was getting tackled. So it was awesome to move the sticks on 3rd down, and he was just really, really good. Another guy that's a walk-on, probably has a scholarship, but started out as a walk-on. O-line was fine, looked good in the run game, leaky in the pass game. Left tackle, oh boy, Andrew Babalola was a 5-star, and coach said he's going to fight to win the job against our what's his name, Link,
Evan Link.
Link was fine. I didn't notice him, so I guess it's probably good. Babalola had some good run plays, but he also got beat like a drum on 1 pass block attempt, where he gave up the sack. But a part of that was, as I said, Jaden Davis just going way back in the pocket, and I think Babalola not knowing that he needed to push the guy way further out, but still looked like a freshman. If you're relying on a freshman left tackle, it's probably not great. So I've got my eyes kind of perked up looking at what's that offensive line going to do, because the season's going to hinge on it. But D-line looked awesome. Dominic Nichols is the one that beat Babalola. He beat the other offensive tackle, Brady Norton for another sack. So he had 2 sacks, I believe. My positive hot take, I think that Ernest Hausman is going to be potentially the best linebacker in the Big Ten this year. And my take is solely the fact that if you ever seen the episode of SpongeBob where he gets anchor arms, Ernest Hausman has anchor arms. I've never seen, like, this is Joey Porter level. Like, how are your arms that big and defined? So solely for that fact, and of course he was all over the field, but like the dude looks different. I'm telling you what, Ernest Hausman, I mean, he was like digging wells in Haiti, and then now he's just killing people on defense. He's a stud on and off the field. I am all about Ernest Hausman this year. So Ernest Hausman, Dominic Nichols was great at edge. I got a negative. I hate to say it. Another player I'm going to label a bust. Eno Etta. He was the top-rated recruit in his class. For Michigan, that is, not in all of the country, but for Michigan 2 or 3 years ago now, he was their highest rated recruit. I thought, looking at him, he reminded me of like a Kwity Paye type, and I thought he was going to really come on strong, and he's looking like maybe he's a 6th or 7th guy, like for the defensive line, and they ran right at him, and he got blown off the ball. He's like 320 pounds, but he doesn't get any push. So I think I'm ready to throw in the towel on him, and I don't expect much from him this year, which is sad because originally I was kind of a Etta fanboy. I'm going to turn in that card. DBs were pretty good, tight coverage.
That's good to hear.
The one thing is, so you watch it the first time, and you see some flags or some non-flags. You know who had the worst spring game? It wasn't Eno Etta. It wasn't Jaden Davis. It was the officials. And I'm not sure if it was because maybe, like, I wonder, do they have an earpiece in that Sharon Moore could be like, don't call that or call that? Because I'm pretty sure, like, Stevie Wonder would have made some of those calls.
The fix was in for Team Blue, Bran. My boys got screwed.
Well, I'm saying, like, it was on Jaden Davis's side a lot, where there was guys that were getting like mugged, like straight up, like Bryce throw to a guy, and so a lot of guys have a lot of hype with our safety, Brandon Hillman. People have compared him to like Bob Sanders or some of those other safeties that just have no regard for human life.
Love those guys.
They're usually short shelf life because they don't care about how they throw their body around. And this guy, he's got that in him. There was a play where a opposing receiver is like getting gang tackled, and he's getting gang tackled out of bounds, and he comes in trying to just blow him up. That's your teammate, dude. And like he does, and then you can see it like afterwards. He's like like shaking his head, like, "Oh, come on, Brandon! Like, I can't do that, but I want to do that." Like you can see him battling the demons of like, "Do I kill? Do I kill? Kill!" And he's got that in him. And last year against Indiana, he knocked out, I think, 2 of their wide receivers on one play, like injured them in a clean way. The dude is a maniac, but he had one of the most boneheaded pass interference calls I've ever seen. Basically, a receiver was running straight down the field and then started a post route, and instead of allowing him to like run, he just wrapped him up. And he's as a safety coming into him, like, you can't do that. Of course, the officials did not call a thing. It was one of the more egregious pass interferences I've seen in my lifetime. And you got to be like, dude, are you using your brain? And I'm not sure he is, because he's just a missile out there.
My kind of player.
That's Trav's kind of player.
Trav's going to love this guy. He will injure several players, and he will get thrown out of several games this year.
Love it.
I'm just wondering, can you trust him to not get a pass interference, because he just wants to tackle, like, regardless of where the ball is, regardless of what color the other player's wearing. So there's a few of those. Shamari Earls is a freshman that had a few bad ones that they also didn't call. Just egregious pass interference. But then they make good plays too. So that's pretty much my takeaways. Jeremiah Lowe had 2 interceptions, both on Jaden Davis. and they were bad throws. But I mean, hats off to Jeremiah Lowe. He caught the ball as a defensive back. That's big. So defense is going to be so good this year. And we'll see about the offense, with the offensive line and receivers being the big question marks. So I left the game being like, this is a really good team.
Brent, thank you for that. That might have seemed like a long segment to some, but really, he just saved you 2 hours of your time. You can now get the whole spring game experience in 20 minutes from Brandon, color commentating it perfectly for you, succinctly, and you don't have to watch it now. So thanks, Brandon.
Don't watch it, seriously. Like, don't watch it.
I'm going to. I haven't. I missed it when it first showed up on the Big Ten Network. The re-air. I turned the TV on and saw it was on. And went, oh no! And it was in the fourth quarter. So I'm getting it saved on my YouTube TV, and I'm going to watch that still. But I appreciate that. So now that a lot of people don't have to, and I'm thinking about also trying to speed up your segment right there, and maybe 10xing it, and putting a 2-minute TikTok video out of just, here's the spring game recap. I'm not sure if you can understand words at 10x, but we'll find out.
There's no shot, dude. At 10x.
It'll start with Brandon saying, here's my synopsis so you don't have to watch. Came away thinking, it's a really good team.
Well, do you want to do our news segment, or do you want to sign us off because we're an hour and 20 minutes in?
Let's do it like as fast as we can.
Okay.
If anyone gets wordy, Cody, you've got the buzzer to shut up anyone you want.
Well, Trav, you literally have the power to mute, so maybe that should be you.
All right.
You'll be our Tony Reale. And I'll be Woody
I
Page.
What a good show.
Those are the two best guys of the show. All right.
I don't remember the other names.
Brand, what is the segment called for our news?
Oh, it's crazy, credible or crazy? Crazy or credible? Let's go crazy or credible.
That sounds better.
Like that.
Yeah.
You want me to keep going?
Am I? Yeah, you were on a roll.
Yep.
All right. We got a couple just general sports news items that specifically the Tigers is the big one, I think. But we want to talk about is this insert sports topic, is this idea crazy or does it make sense? Is it credible? And Cody or Travis can introduce our first topic.
Sure. So the Detroit Tigers are currently the second ranked team on best odds to win the World Series. Crazy or credible?
Crazy.
I think that's insane.
I told Brandon earlier today, I think the Tigers might be the worst best team of all time. Like, they're really, really good. But you look at it and you're like, how are they so good? Pitching, obviously, but
Yeah.
gonna mute myself now.
Yeah. When you guys introduced that segment to me and said, this is what we're going to talk about, I giggled. that was my immediate reaction. I'm not sure there's many more words that need to be said. This is a scrappy bunch, and you love to see them playing good, but second best odds to win the World Series. Just enjoy their success and, don't set yourself up for a heartbreak like that.
Perfect.
I think that the Tigers are one offensive star, and I mean star like
Javi Baez right now.
love what
Best
Javi Baez is
outfielder in
doing.
the league.
But what I mean is
Serious.
like a media mover type of player, where I'm watching what Shohei Ohtani is doing, or I see that Aaron Judge is like prime Babe Ruth on steroids.
Yeah, he's Babe Ruth hitting home runs and Ty Cobb average right now.
Yeah, like the average is higher than Babe Ruth could even touch. And the thing is like I watched him laser a ball at a ballpark, and then he only got like a double because it was like one of those double walls. The ball would have traveled like 450 feet, but because the wall was 30 feet tall, like he should have more home runs. So the dude is amazing. I think I'm not saying they need an Aaron Judge or a Shohei Ohtani, but I mean, also what's his face that Boston snagged that we thought we were going to get, the third baseman. What's his name? I'm blanking.
Alex Bregman.
Yeah, like he's awesome. So I think maybe another big name bat is about what I would maybe put us on the credible side of that. I think that's what we're missing. But offense has been good. Like I don't want to complain.
Muted. No, you just finished.
To your credit, Brad, and a little bit of a bummer to think about. If we would have followed your lead as the GM of Detroit and traded Stafford for Ohtani, we might be this. That's yeah. Oh,
I'll trade Stafford.
You knew what I meant.
Take that, Rams.
We're a Stafford away from a Super Bowl winning team right now. But if we had Ohtani, maybe we are the World Series favorites. Yeah.
Along the lines of Stafford, there are rumors that there are two teams out there offering him $100 million deals right now. Crazy.
Are the Lions in there?
Is that crazy or correct? I cannot remember the name of the segment for the life of me.
Yeah.
Crazy or credible?
It's a tough one. Two
that
C's.
teams are offering him money?
$100 million deal where I thought he was kind of close to being done.
Well, yeah, but what's the term?
I don't know. Probably 3-4 years.
Let's say $100 million over like 3 or 4 years is not that much money.
Sure, but I thought he was close to being done. So like 3-4 years.
$100 million over 2 years is still not crazy because Jared Goff is making like $53 million a year. So
the two teams I think were New York and Las Vegas, maybe.
Stafford will never be rated appropriately to his skill level. The dude is so massively, so underrated. So that's very credible to me.
I'd say very credible to pay the man his money. Yeah.
You guys convinced me. I was thinking that was crazy, and I love Stafford, and I think he's very underrated. Initially I thought like he was almost done. So that was a bonus crazy or credible for you. The next one is Sharon Moore's suspension, 2-game suspension, self-imposed. Kind of got to choose the games. Crazy or credible?
What does that even mean?
That he chose the games?
Like, what are we saying is crazy?
Should Michigan have self-imposed, basically?
Okay. Should they have done it?
Is that what you're going for, Trev?
Pretty much. You can take it whatever route, because I think there's a lot that could be said about it.
I don't know how. Like, I guess it's credible because it makes sense. That said, I don't think it matters. I think the NCAA is going to want to leave their stamp of judgment regardless of what Michigan does. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if they bend the knee. Maybe it'll help a little, but I honestly the NCAA is going to want to punish Michigan for what happened. And I don't think, I think it's actually a little bit crazy because they picked 2 games that don't matter. And now he's going to be suspended for even more than that because the NCAA is going to suspend him.
So what did Michigan do when Harbaugh had the Burgergate stuff? What was the length of the suspensions, and was there self-imposed?
He missed the first 3 games, but the difference is that he was able to be with the team during the week, during practice, all of that. Did
the NCAA add on top of that at the end? I just can't remember with all of it.
Well, no, because then later in the season, the Big Ten suspended him because of Signs Gate.
And that just kind of covered it?
Yeah, and then he went to the NFL, and then he got a show cause. So they're like, afterwards, they're like, yeah, just never come back. And he's like, okay. Cool.
Well, I asked that because this feels the same. Like, Sharon deleted text kind of as a, haha, screw you, NCAA. And that's Harbaugh kind of did the same. Like, stupid receipt for a cheeseburger? Well, shut up. So it felt kind of similar in tone, and the NCAA hates that when you don't bend the knee. So I wanted to remember what they did to Harbaugh to see maybe what they'll do in this case.
But Cody touched on it, and I think you did too. Is how much are you bending the knee if you're picking the games? I feel like it's like, oh, I'm punishing myself. That's so bad. Ow. Yeah. But it's such a slap in the face. Like, it's not it's so performative. Everyone can see that it's not like you're taking it that seriously. So I think it's crazy. I could definitely jump on the credible side if I believed that Michigan had a good handle on the NCAA's response. Like if they're like, hey, NCAA, if we do a 2-game suspension, like, are you guys going to chill out? And they'd be like, yeah, sure. Like Michigan has misjudged the NCAA's response every step of the way. So I have no confidence that they're judging it correctly here. So I'm going to say crazy. I think you're just adding problems for yourself. Crazy.
So it's the second and third game? Or third and fourth?
No, it's the third and fourth because the first game is New Mexico.
Second game's
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
Gotta coach New Mexico. And then the second game is Oklahoma, and that's the big one is because he wants to play against his alma mater. But then he'll miss Central Michigan, which is kind of ironic.
That's funny.
With the Stallions. And then game 4 is a big game. It's at Nebraska, which is one that I think we would have maybe talked about going to.
Still open to it.
That's just, it loses some luster. You're not taking it as seriously, clearly, if you're willing to suspend your coach for your Big Ten opener at Nebraska. I'm guessing they're going for a night game. Like, it's going to be electric, and they're like, we don't need our coach for that game. So that really does bug me.
I'm still open to it. We got to get back on the train of visiting a new Big Ten stadium every year.
Agreed.
It's a good tradition.
Brand was at the nod to go to bed.
No, that was to Bree because she needs to go get Roman, who's crying in bed right now. I actually have a bonus one.
Oh, good.
Bonus?
Bonus. Really quick. Crazy or credible? So the Red Wings, they just had the NHL lottery. No, my take isn't that it's fixed. We know it's fixed. Crazy or credible? Should the Red Wings have tanked at the end of the season? Because based on their position, they were 12th. And you can only go up 10 spots. So they were mathematically eliminated from the top spot. And they, at best, could get the second pick. The team that got the first pick was actually in position 10, which means they moved up the maximum amount of spots. And then the team that won the second lottery was actually behind the Red Wings, and that might come against the whole idea here, but they moved up to 10 spots from 14 to 4, which then makes the Red Wings move back a spot and continues their streak of never once moving up in the lottery, even though they've had really bad teams with high odds in the past. So should they have tanked at the end of the season? Specifically, should they have taken some of their best players and, basically had them scratched because of injury? Because Dylan Larkin was clearly hurt, but playing through it. They won a few meaningless games. They could have been in that 10th spot easily or below that. Do you guys, it's hard to tell a team to lose games, but crazy or credible, should they have tanked?
Yeah, try telling that to hockey players.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think it's crazy, Brand, because you answered this question in your second sentence. We know that the NHL draft lottery is fixed. So
I watched it. They've got those little balls that come in the little machine. Like, I don't know how, but I have a graph. I can't share it with you guys because the NHL will come to my door. But if you look at the teams that have moved up the most in the draft and the teams that have moved down, the top 4 teams, markets, New York, Chicago, New Jersey, which is New York. The biggest media markets get the top picks.
Crazy.
Every single time.
That's crazy.
Yeah, what are we even talking about? We have our answer. There was, even as they were, there was a less than 9% chance that they were going to move lower than their projected spot for the lottery. And what happened? They moved down. It's the Red Wings. They're going to get screwed.
There's always that chance. Remember, the Pistons, I know it wasn't for Victor Wembanyama, but guess what? We got Cade. And Cade is our best player that's leading us to the future. And I still think it's possible I know that the NHL is not going to let us get maybe the best ever player, but the guy that you get this year, they're not saying he's going to be the best ever. You could have won this year. When I was a baseball coach, I made a wildly unpopular choice where we were in the district semifinals, and in high school, They're very particular about how many pitches your pitchers can throw. We had one pitcher who was good and the rest of a team of non-baseball players, we'll put it that way. And so my best pitcher, he threw in the 70s, maybe low 80s, and he could hang with this best team we were playing. And I knew the team that we would face in the finals was, I'll just say this, we didn't stand a chance if our best pitcher could not throw at least close to a full game. And so with the score tied in like the fourth inning, I pulled my best pitcher, put in our second pitcher. So our first pitcher throws 70s, 80s. Our second pitcher throws like 45. And the thing is, when you're throwing 45, everything's a changeup because it kind of loops in. And if you've been looking at 70, 80, 45 is really hard to hit. And we actually use that quite a bit during the season, where it's actually a viable strategy to win games is take out your fast guy, put in your slow guy. Usually you've got about 2 to 3 innings where they can't catch up. They caught up immediately. And a tie game got just disastrous level. And we lost. And we didn't make it to the finals. And I was like totally fine with it. People were pissed. Why did you throw away the game? Like we couldn't win. We could not win the next game. That's just my opinion. If you can't win the war, then tactical retreat in battle makes sense. So I think that they should have tanked at the end because they were not making the playoffs. And I understand hockey players. Like I love hockey players for that reason. Okay, then just take Dylan Larkin and say he's done because you need him healthy. And take some of your other players who are clearly hurt and tired and say, you are done for the year. We're putting you on ice.
Dylan Larkin literally said he was playing injured at the end.
By removing your best players, you're ensuring that you're going to lose more games. And the guys that you bring up to fill their spots, they can try as hard as they want. They're not going to win as many games. So that's how I would have handled it. I think it's credible, but it's a wildly unpopular opinion sometimes. And even at a small school, people will tell you that you ruined the season.
Yeah, in this game of crap or correct, the real answer is...
You're so close, Trev.
I'm just ticked off that they won't make a freaking move to actually make the playoffs. Like, and even Larkin said that. Like, the whole tone in the locker room when they didn't make a move at the trade deadline, like, it bummed the team out. That's saying something. 2 years in a row, the last team out of the playoff. That is the worst position to possibly be in as a fan and as a team. Because, like you said, you can't get the number one pick, and you're not getting the best draft picks you can get, and you don't make the playoffs. That's the absolute worst. So Stevie's got to do something to win. I've always been a fan of his. He's got to do something to win us back, to show that he actually has a plan. I know it from the start he said this is a 10-year plan. Like, okay, well,
we're almost there.
Yeah, and we're in the same spot as we were last year. So I agree with
what you said, Trav, because like the player that I wanted them to trade for before the trade deadline, he just had a hat trick in the third, like just a third period hat trick to win a 4-point third period to win for his team. Where
the Red Wings
player that you sell the farm for.
The Red Wings had no hat tricks all year long.
Yeah. So this guy did it in the third period to put his team over the top, over his former team. I mean, poetry. That's why you get players like that. But he's very conservative. He doesn't want to trade picks or players. And so Dallas got him for a steal. So anyways, that's Cody says crazy. Travis says...
corrupt or concur? I concur with you.
All right, 2-1 get wrecked code. And get wrecked to Red Wings because who knows if we'll ever make those playoffs again.
Every show needs a villain. I'll take that. I'll take that title today. I don't care. Come at me. Come at me in the comments. I'm gonna.
Yeah, muting Cody. You're back.
Listen. we are a few minutes over our 45, so we gotta get this wrapped up. Unless you want to take it home for us, go ahead.
Yeah, we did.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Do it, Trav.
I felt that in my spine.
You can definitely tell we started recording on Riverside again. The length of pods is something. But, hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode of Hot Ones. We want to hear your hot takes or what you thought of ours. Maybe we'll have more episodes like this in the future. I thought it was fun. A good different way to get some sports talk. But stay active in the Cord. Let us know what you think. Hit up that mailbag, the mailbox section of the Discord. Love hearing from you guys. And I think we should have some more news coming out for you guys shortly in the Discord as well. So thanks again for joining us on the Jonesing for Sports podcast, and we will see you guys in the next one. Take it easy.